The Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, welcome and thank you for being a part of another terrific Tuesday as we invite you to talk today and start things off with our friends from the YMCA. Come on, Miss Susan. Come on. Yeah, I'm not like the village people, but I'm certainly an island boy. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, if you ever been somewhere and they ask why the why, you say why not? Well, today we'll tell you why. So if your children or even you yourself have been part of their summer initiatives, if you've been part of the initial days of the discussions that have led to what is a wonderful entity, 100 plus years in the making, and it came on, it seems like forever. Well, as we introduce our new CEO, it's always a pleasure to welcome his followers. Good afternoon. How are you?
I am excited to be here, so thank you so much for the opportunity and thank you for welcoming us.
No, it's always a pleasure. No matter whether it's in the supermarket or whether it's on a setting like this in a formal way, you bring such energy and enthusiasm. As I was saying earlier, it's so good to have people who appreciate life and who bring so much to give so freely.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, I'm excited because I think in societies we sort of measure who we are by our contributions, not so much by what we take. And when we're able to give, that the benefit isn't just a legacy, it isn't some endowment, it's about giving freely and willingly of our hands, our hearts, as Miss Marlene always talked about, their time, our talent and their treasure. We don't know that as Miss Olive talked about, the poor man's millions, that 1 penny, that $1, when added to another, it means something because it takes a sense of community.
Sure.
So we're going to make it happen.
We will, together.
Together.
Yes.
Could be my campaign. That's good. I'm probably going to get in trouble, but you know what? I still got 3 more days to go, so if I keep working hard, I might just do that. So tell us why we're here, because it's all about caring and giving, loving, laughing, learning, and sometimes true listening.
Definitely true listening. So I would first take the opportunity to introduce Jeff, who is the Chief Executive Officer for the YMCA of the Cayman Islands. The YMCA actually provide programs in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac. So he is responsible for the leadership of our team members who are day-to-day with their hearts providing that delivery for the youth to grow character development within our youngest generations, the country's future, our next leaders. So it's with pride to say Jeff has been a lifelong member of the YMCA from his experiences in the United States. He brings that to Grand Cayman for over a year now, enriching everybody's development as we work daily towards our cause and our values.
And that's Jeff Peterson, and I use the word campaign earlier because the U.S., many of us, whether we like it or not, we follow their politics, especially their presidential politics, and the word campaign is always synonymous with political. But as the CEO, you tell us why the campaign is more about politics, is about caring. So Help us, Mr. Peters.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us, Paula. Thank you for that great introduction. Yeah, it's truly an honor. I've been with the Y for 32 plus years, and the thing that stands out to me more than anything is that the YMCA continues to evolve to serve the community and the changing needs that it has, but it makes sure that we're there for all. And I believe the Y throughout the world is the shining light because, as we all know, to your point, politics or whatever, the YMCA is definitely needed to help build our future leaders, provide a healthy environment for the families, and just be there for them so they have an outlet to grow in a thriving community.
And I think, many times I say this as I think back to my early discussions with Pastor Randy. The idea that whether it's the PTA or a school, whether it's a church or some other civic entity,
right,
we have this spirit of giving, of coming together, providing something that involves the community. And increasingly, as I look at some of the students coming out of what I consider the top tier universities, they're using their skill sets not just to go into business, but many are considering what would be sort of philanthropical endeavors,
right,
to give, to benefit community, not under the guise of anything other than giving. And that's significant. You were, 3+ decades in. I mean, Susan was only like 4 then, She's like, yeah, right.
Good thing there's a wall in between us.
Reinforced. That wall is 2 feet. Well, actually 38 inches.
38.
Yeah. Well, with magnified glasses. But no, this is a bunker. But 30 years into something, many would do that at careers. You opted to do that. You stayed. Can I ask why?
Well,
why do I?
I'll try to make this quick, but I grew up in a small town in Ardmore, Oklahoma. I lost my dad when I was 13 years old. It was the Y that we were a part of. Mm-hmm. It was the main recreation for kids and sports. And I was just blessed to be able to hang out there a lot. Didn't know I was going to make a career of it. Mm-hmm. But when the opportunity came after college, it was something that it only took me a few months to see why I needed to be a part of the Y, because I knew the difference it made in my life. I had great adult role models and people in my life. But once again, I go back to, I am just honored to be able to serve the community. I consider myself a servant leader, mm-hmm. And I believe about giving back and making a difference in the community, because it will carry forward and truly impact the community. So, and
I appreciate that. I mean, I know, I guess part of my job as you're is try to figure out who's coming on and a little bit about them. And as much as I'm a positive person, we have burdens. We have things that are happening that when I walk through that door, I want to be genuinely happy and smiling. It doesn't mean that I'm not worried about my $1 million electric bill or the mortgage's interest rates of $1,000 or whatever it is, right? We have those things, but there's so much. And I harken back to a couple of things. Understanding the Y's history, it served as a space for fellowship. Yes. It was a place that many have shared with me. They were able to find accommodation, sometimes intended for be a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and end up being much more, But it was also the notion that C in the Y, is it being replaced with something else? Is it being diluted in some spaces? Is it being entrenched in others? From your perspective, Mr. CEO, what do you think, Jeff?
It's a great question, and we get asked about it quite frequently over the years now, and I think it depends on where you're at. I was blessed to work in Houston 2 different times in my career, Detroit, and then Colorado Springs, and each community is a little different. I was blessed to be in most places that the C was strong, and I believe it needs to be. It's what the Y was built on, the Christian principles, and ensuring that we're there for all, and I keep bringing that up, but it's a place out of our values that we focus on and really deliver.
The reason why I'm asking that, because even in today, as much as we're asked to be tolerant and accepting, and a word that is being battled about so much now that it's almost becoming, pointless, inclusion. And I don't say that with any other reason to deliberately ask people to stop using words without looking at it as important. It's an important word. It shouldn't become a cliche, right? Yeah. And that C, it's important because it's about community, and it's about fellowship, it's about caring for others, it's about bringing people to a space where you look at them and you don't know, what is it that they are carrying. Right. And like you shared, a young man to have an absent father because of work, but to be, as you've experienced, that is, so important to be able to have another extended family.
Correct.
And look at the impact, the positive impact it's had on you.
Yeah.
Something that I asked a few people, Ms. Paula, as we speak to her in a bit, when you think of the YMCA, which country, which place comes to mind? Everybody said, oh, the U.S. And I thought to myself, well, is it because we're in Cayman? But it is in the U.S. that it was founded. And I know where, but talk to me.
Yeah. It started in London, England in 1844. And it was basically built off, the ships were coming in and the men had nowhere healthy to go, I'll say. And that's when they started gathering places around the Bible and around just social positive networking. And it's moved into the States in 1851. But when you ask me, I think of London. I think of George Williams.
But because you know the history?
Yes.
What about you, Ms. Paula? Before you knew that, and I consciously asked 5 people, like a survey says.
In Latin America, where I grew up, we have strong Ys. I grew up in Mexico, and they have a very strong YMCA. Actually, the one that I know the most is in the north, doing a lot of projects for people who is jumping over the fence, let's call it this way, between the U.S. and Mexico. We are proud to partner with the LACA, which is the Latin American Caribbean Association of the YMCA. So they also have an array from here all the way down to Patagonia. So it's incredible. I proudly heard before my time with the Y about the Y from Latin America, but yes, with the connection Cayman Islands has with the UK, it's a strong ties. And the more we learn about the works of the Y, I've been fortunate enough to hear about the projects and I believe last time we talked about it when I went to Houston for the conference. So yeah, I got to learn a lot more of the USA YMCAs.
There you go. I know many people think of London and England in particular, and they think of Dickens and they think of all the other things. Sadly, we don't see the strong Christian ethos that once was. It's now replaced with much that is too political in the small p. But when we come back from the break, can we talk about what we hear? The idea that we can invest together.
Yes.
The importance of how we can give, and in a Cayman community where there's so much change, let's embrace it in a positive way. All right, I'm going to give you an opportunity to do something, but you're going to join us after the break. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Get ready for more with Digicel's all-new prepaid plans. More any-use data to browse. Entertainment data for Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. Plus, stay connected with endless social data for Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. With Digicel's new prepaid plans, you'll never miss a beat. Activate in the My Digicel app today. Digicel. Better connected.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
It's game time, Subway fans. We're upping our sub game with the all-new Subway Series menu, an all-star lineup of 6 delicious recipes. Just order by name or number and we'll do the rest. Whether you're catching a quick lunch or just need a tasty victory, the Subway Series menu is coming in clutch. Subway Series, easy to order, hard to resist. Try it today, only at Subway. Eat fresh.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, as we celebrate the International Day of Charity, honored to be able to have the good friends at the YMCA. And the new CEO, Mr. Peterson is a good, I think, for me, a pleasure and honor to be able to have someone who brings a spirit of a servant leader.
Thank you.
And that thank you, sir. And that positive energy of Miss Paula Robinson, it's amazing. They say people who are genuine, you can see it on their faces and their eyes. Doesn't matter what is transpiring. So, if I might, thank you.
Thank you. Well, very honored. Today is a global celebration. Locally, a lot of the corporations are actually acknowledging the International Day of Charity because there's a lot of social corporate responsibility. We're very fortunate to have a community that understands that we have to work together so that we can continue with many of the efforts, not just in our YMCA programs, but also different great causes on islands. So we're fortunate enough to be able to celebrate volunteerism, philanthropy, charitable causes, and in general, just solidarity amongst all of us. We don't work in silos in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
A lot of the MPOs are partnering more and more so that we can continue our works. And we service, many of us, the same clients to an extent. So communication and collaboration is critical, and that's something that we bring the spotlight today.
And thank you for that, because those two C's, we look at entities like a school where communication is important amongst their colleagues and amongst their children.
Totally.
Right? But oftentimes it gets lost in translation. The collaboration, and in economics, the idea of economies of scale, you can pool your resources. The larger company can get a better price, greater volume, but more hands can indeed make lighter work.
Yes.
Right? So if we can come together and assist in some way, it doesn't matter if it's that child, in a home with two wonderful, loving parents and extended family. That child can be supported and nurtured, just as the child who is, batting about his mama will say from pillar to post because nobody seems to care.
Right.
But both of those are part of our society, are impacted by what happens, and at some point, could be influenced by what's going on and negatively affecting the wider society, because they feel that they don't have a home, no one cares about them. Right?
True.
So this is where we draw alongside to teach, lead, guide, nurture, love, care, inspire.
Yes.
And the like. Right?
Many of those combined. We need more and more on a daily basis. And this is why it's really exciting to kick off our campaign in a week like ours, celebrating International Day of Charity, because what we really want is community bonding. What we would love to see is a lot more of our community members, especially in corporations or anybody who is new to the island, to get to learn about the why, to get to learn about the value of our programs. And, when you have a team of almost 150 individuals caring from their heart, working day to day in front of our youngest generations, not only they have a skill set that we're very proud to talk about from our team members, but also is the way they care for each other and how they showcase that amongst the children and the youth. It's impeccable. And that's why we would love to see a lot more of our community partners and community members getting to know about the why, coming and understand why do we actually have to provide these services, the programs, not just at the schools, but in sports, in leadership, in aquatics, in safety, because they're critical for the character development and the development itself for the youth. So that's kind of like the very first of the biggest components of the annual caring campaign. This year, Investing for Impact is really, let's invest our time wisely. Let's invest our time in getting more knowledgeable about the non-for-profit that the YMCA is, the charitable cause that we are having on our islands, both Cayman Brac and Grand Cayman. Most important, what are the programs? Because we have a little headquarters right now, but as we grow, we would love to have more and more people understanding. So that's kind of like the first component for our campaign.
I want to ask through you, because sometimes we may have perception of certain programs, and we may think of school-age children up until,
All right.
you know, your programming for your youth. What's the age range?
Well, we have several programs. Actually, Jeff will share about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we have several programs. It depends on the program, but I mean, like our day camp goes from 4 to 12. And it depends on the camp, because we've run a variety of camps, right? Not just our adventure or sports or chef traditional camp, but each program's a little different. We started off a football academy that started last night with a coaches meeting. It starts practices tomorrow, and it is academy. It's really around the development of the young children, and that's for 4 to 12. And we have a variety of programs that I think will continue that. But I think the uniqueness, too, though, with our programs is we have had a strong focus on youth. From our partnership, you talk about partnerships, I think is key to the success of any organization. You have to have an open mind that 1 + 1 = 3. I say that all the time, but it does. And people can bring different experiences from different organizations that at the end of the day can overall impact the community better. So that's why the Little League partnership came together. The YMCA and the Little League, having that partnership, being able to raise the funds through the Y, and our board doing a great job with that to really build the future, and that Little League program is there for the future, and make sure we're continually to make sure it's diversified like it is now, which is one of the bigger programs in the community, and it just gives us those great opportunities as we move forward.
And something Ms. Paula shared that I think, and I was trying initially to get people to look beyond, it's global. The Y is global.
Right.
And if you're not, I mean, just take an internet search. There are very few places where it isn't, trying to get established, or has been for decades in many different types of communities.
Right, and the grassroots projects that they are actually developing, it's incredible. Some of the Ys do extend to doing mental health programs, or food delivery programs, or housing programs. So it's very unique to their societies and their needs. So that's why, as Jeff shared earlier, we listen to what our community needs are, and then we act promptly, and then we execute.
I really appreciate that, because I think we probably may have a perception of what the Y is, and not understanding, as you said, housing, food, shelter, right, mental health, even the educational component in some respects. And because I've consciously looked into it, this is all encompassing. It has nothing to do with demographics, education, nor economics. Anybody can benefit. You can be the CEO at the highest ranking financial services entity in Cayman or globally, and be a member and come and play the basketball, or the few that have the boxing program. Right, Mr. Peterson? Yeah, without question, right? You can be a part of this thing and interact with people who share common interests.
Right. Yeah, it definitely is, and that's the fun part of it. As staff, is just seeing how you can engage and convene families, and our focus has been right now all around youth, which was the right place to start. But as we move forward, we know senior programming. There's opportunities maybe to partner with other organizations providing service to seniors, to family fitness, to other things that we can engage the overall whole family and make it a gathering place, so people have a great place to spend quality time with their families.
The communal impact. I mean, some communities that have the senior programs, not just around the swimming, but a place to go and get proper physical and mental exercise.
So important.
Without it being so costly, not just financially, but the time, the access, the convenience. This is the Cayman community as we bring people together. I look at the leadership opportunities you provide, not just for our youth, but who may or may not continue as part of a salaried employee or volunteer, or even entering into another sector.
Sure.
Through their leadership skills.
Yes.
Good stuff, right?
Many of those are not necessarily found sometimes in a schoolroom or at home for some of the children. So it's so beautiful when you actually see our team inspiring those younger generations.
When the G5K had sponsored and assisting with the ropes challenge, I thought, here is something for those of us who may have worked in another environment and Miss Paul was very young, so Jeff, you never remember. Way back when, when there was a one before, instead of the 2000s, companies, we were looking at team building exercises, and the trust challenge was part of that, part of the thing. But there were other similar exercises to help you to be able to trust, rely, appreciate your co-worker. And it was taken for granted. Of course, I trust George. Do you really? He sent me the email.
Well, it's just perfect that you mentioned it, because with the ropes course now kind of relaunched after the DJ 5K was important for the launch back in the days. Now we have a lot of corporations really using the lower course or even the Alpine Tower for their bonding activity, for their team bonding activity. So we see that a lot more with the adult size, but this tower is for the youngest ones to go climb up in like no time, because they have the skill and the flexibility for it. So we now have availability for drop-ins for people to book it for even birthday parties for children. So it's available now, and it's at the Y.
I keep thinking of, she said the Alpine Tower, so I have this perception of this thing very high. It's
53 feet.
Tree high. No.
I've been up there. You can make it.
You think so, huh?
Yes.
I saw the picture of the DG man, and he was sweating, and he had some tinges of fatness. I just kidding. No, but it is good, because even our young ones, and I say this because I know you emphasize safety. It doesn't matter whether it's the most skilled athlete or if it's the first time. But to be able to do that, the feeling that you get for even just being able to attempt it, and if you don't think you're afraid of heights, check it out. Just
definitely.
You'll see what
it's for all ages, and you don't really need a skill set or experience. I think the certified coaches that we have that handle it are going to help everyone that is interested on trying it. And most important is that, as you just said, you don't have to go all the way up. Just the fact that you got there is an accomplishment in itself.
And who knows what that will inspire you to just remind you that this is just an endeavor to encourage you to pursue other things so that you do so with excellence. All right, when we come back from this next break, let's actually talk about how we can partner. Miss Marlene keeps saying time, talent, and treasure.
Yes.
Some of us have a lot of all of it. Some of us want to have some of some. So let's share what we have. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
It's game time, Subway fans. We're upping our sub game with the all-new Subway Series menu, an all-star lineup of 6 delicious recipes. Just order by name or number and we'll do the rest. Whether you're catching a quick lunch or just need a tasty victory, the Subway Series menu is coming in clutch. Subway Series, easy to order, hard to resist. Try it today, only at Subway. Eat fresh.
As a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have our very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Ready for more fun, more data, and endless connections? Digicel's all-new postpaid plans got you covered. Get more entertainment data for Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. endless social data for WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean, and more international minutes than ever before. Stay connected on the fastest, most reliable network in Cayman. Make the switch today. Digicel. Better connected.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And I hope that this doesn't, factor into my sort of annual appraisal when they come and say, should we give him a raise and give him more money? I actually love my job. I'm honored. I feel it's a privilege because I come in and I get motivated by our guests. Today we're going to have one discussion after the next that just keeps getting better and better because it's impactful to the community.
Totally.
And I'm glad that on this International Day of Charity to be able to speak to our newly minted CEO at the Y, Mr. Jeffrey Lewison, together with that indomitable spirit of Paula Morris, official award, Director of Philanthropy and Community Engagement. Never see. But we need, as a people, to draw alongside each other and to help. So, Ms. Paula, to you. Many of us can come and help. We have hands, we have a willing heart. Some of us have a healthy bank account, and $5 million for us is no more overstretched than 5 cents for some.
Well, I welcome the question because one of the important programs that the Y is able to provide on an annual basis and for our programs overall is actually financial aid, financial assistance, because we recognize there's some parents who are struggling, and we don't want to turn away any child because the parents can't afford signing them up for youth academy or signing them up for softball or for leadership trainings. So it's important that we tell the community that we are providing those registrations for children whose families are financially struggling via our financial assistance program. And this is the main reason for fundraising on the annual Caring campaign. When you want to support a child's safety with aquatic lessons, when you want to support the character development at programs that we deliver after school, in the afternoons, in the public schools that we host, primary, high school, in Cayman Brac and Grand Cayman also. But when you also look at the sports, the variety of sports that we deliver, from softball, football that we touched base earlier, we want to make sure that those children also are included, that they are not turned away because their parents can't financially afford the registration. So our financial aid program is widely provided throughout our programs. And this year, our campaign effort is basically to support 4 of those. And with the donations that we will be receiving, financial donations, and all of the awareness that we can create locally so that we have more fans, more supporters of the Y, we're going to accomplish so much more for our youth. So you had a very valid question. How can the community help us? First, get to know the Y. If you have time, please join us as a volunteer. There's fundraising efforts right now happening between September and December. I'll tell you why in just a second. But some of our programs will need volunteers on sites, schools, at the fields, or any of the leadership programs that we will be hosting, of course. Now, the third reason is because we do need the funds to continue to support those programs, like I mentioned, the aquatics, the sports, the after-school programs. So we have a huge dollar amount to get to in about 4-6 months. I think it's very doable with the support of the community. But we are really looking forward to seeing cash donations towards our main goal, which is $200,000. And that's something that I believe, if everybody comes together, especially with a conscious effort on an observance like today, what is that impact that you want to leave in your community? Because all that the YMCA supports is local in our islands.
And the thing that, $200,000, I'm not going to pretend that it is not a lot of money, but it isn't a lot of money, not just because of inflation, but we've got trillions of dollars flowing through here. where the government is looking at probably, billions of dollars in projects over the years, operating budget of $1 billion. So the numbers that are being bad about the world, $200,000, there are cars that cost more than that. But it's still a lot of money. If you're a day late and $1 short, you're a day late and $1 short. You don't have it.
Right.
But each person giving something adds up. And I share that to ask, I don't think I'm exaggerating, and yes, I do have a particular, kindness in my heart for it. But look at the students who participate. They look like our community. They're from everywhere.
Yes.
They're engaged, and probably but for their time at the Y, there would probably not be as much interaction amongst them as it would normally. And this brings our community together, so we see our faces. We know who we are. We see ourselves more alike than whatever differences that may be magnified in other spaces.
Right.
And you talk about the aquatics, but for me, safety around water in itself is paramount, but especially on an island.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it rains a lot. There are places that flood, but it's an island.
Yeah.
And you're not far from the sea.
No.
True.
They need those life skills.
So those are important.
Very important.
Just to be confident and comfortable in the water.
Yes.
And there are adults here that they go in the pool in their own homes and they're paid for and wanted, and there's a bit of trepidation, not just for their children and others, but for themselves.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because they don't have that confidence. So we need to give that. So you have the aquatics program, the safety.
Yes, absolutely, which is critical. Like you just mentioned, it's so important that we prepare them for the future.
Yeah.
It's not just right now at your age you need to learn how to swim, but it's a life skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we can continue to drill down our generations to get them from young age to get to that level of comfort, that level of safety, it's going to be paramount, like you mentioned.
And this isn't meant to offend anyone, but look at the hours we are working. Just look at the time sometimes it may take us to leave work on schedule to get to where our children are because of traffic or the convenience. Let me stop here to the pharmacy or the grocery. By the time we get to our children, it could be an extra hour.
Right.
To have an aftercare program that a child can be in, properly engaged, that's beneficial to that family. It may take away added stress when the family gets home for dinner or for other activities. And you also, are very instrumental in our after-school programming.
Yes, and it's really about not just childcare session of 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's really all the rich delivery of values, programs, interaction amongst them, and also what this building of character is being done at a level of primary, at a level of high school, so that we can continue to nurture them. After school actually has separate clubs where some of especially the high school, they'll be cooking or they'll have robotics, they'll have the drones, so that we can also get to deliver a little bit more into skill sets, not just, as I mentioned, as a child care session.
You nurture them, right, Jeff? You introduce them to things that they might otherwise not have been able to because of costs or access, because the thing is over here, which is so far away, as opposed to the Y, which is just around the corner.
Right. Yeah, and I think so many times we all kind of think of programs as just, I'm going to go play a sport or do something, and really there's so much positive that happens in each program, from building self-esteem and confidence to learning how to interact in group work in a positive way, which we need drastically in this world, and how to respect each other from our different cultures and our different economic backgrounds or religion or whatever it might be. And that's the part that I think that we have to continue to keep as a focus to make sure people really understand.
And I think if we look at what's happening in the world, whether we listen to the talking heads and they talk about the unfolding geopolitical landscape, or whether we read our trusted news source, and it's all these things. But if in the Cayman community, the challenges with the cost of living, the questions that people may have relative to their continued employment, just that stress of what is it being an adult sometimes. if there are those out there, and this is maybe a challenge, you're looking at 200,000 for some of us. Like I said, not to be disrespectful, I'm glad that they have that. That's money that under the mattress probably fell out their wallet last night when they were coming home changing, right? And for some, finding 20 cents is a lot, because it's just that hard.
True.
But what if there are those of us, whether it's one corporate entity, whether it's a couple, and amongst themselves, if you make 200,000, we're going to match it. 4 individuals put in 50, 10 people each put in 20.
Right.
It doesn't take much, and yes, they give to many entities, but you have thousands who've come through your program in a very, relatively speaking, short time the Y has been in Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
And we see many of them. Wouldn't it be nice if there's someone who's willing to take up that challenge and said, you know what, as part of our association, as part of our partnership, we're going to match.
That would be ideal.
That would be ideal.
And you're not so far away from the truth. We had about 1,500 campers this summer.
Yeah.
We had 8 weeks of summer.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful 2 months of camp. 1,500.
Yeah.
So you're not far from truth.
I've dropped a couple. I've paid for their summer thing. I know. But it's something that as a parent, not just me personally, but others, they feel good. The child is getting some vitamin D for free. They're coming back home and they're exhausted. They sleep well, which is nice.
Yes.
But they're excited to go back. Right?
Yes.
And that's the thing. That's the testament that it's a success.
Correct. It is. And if I could just add one other thing, because I do know it's usually part of the problem is families have a lot of respect and they pride in what they do, and for them to reach out to say, hey, I might need assistance, it's all confidential. You would never know which kid in our program is getting financial assistance or the ones that can pay for it, but we're there for all. I keep saying that because that is one of the most important things, is that I don't want people to feel that they cannot reach out to us, because it's an easy process.
Right.
So hopefully families will take us up on that, because we know there's families out there that need the YMCA, their children need the YMCA, and we're available.
If I might, I'll be guided by you, Mr. Jeff, that the notion that there are some of us that financially we don't make enough to be able to do all the things we want, but we're making too much to qualify for the quote-unquote social programs. So when we do a monthly budget, it's like, oh, I don't have enough for that, and our children suffer. Don't neglect, don't deny your child. This is an investment, and find a way that we can come together.
Totally.
And to you, Ms. Paulo, for those who want to contribute, what best way is as you close out your contribution?
The invitation today is to contact us at info@ymcacayman.ky. Visit our website, ymcacayman.ky. We are more than happy to talk to everyone in a one-on-one or a group basis about our works before they feel they can make a cash donation. But if they're ready to make a donation, our website is up for the annual caring campaign. We welcome EFTs, cash donations in the office. We're absolutely a facility that is more welcoming of any dollar amount, because every dollar creates a positive impact. And together, as a community, we can get to those 200,000 K.
But thank you very much for the wonderful team effort for all the students who are coming through. And hopefully, as we do this, we can make it. As you see, well, not even you anymore, but for us anyway.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, Mr. Jeff. Final thoughts from you.
Final thoughts. One thing is for sure on the campaign that hopefully our donors hear loud and clear is the dollars we raise that they give goes to serving the kids and the families and help subsidize programs. It does not go to administration, doesn't go to market. It goes to making sure children have the opportunity. But we are a YMCA that's got a great board and a great staff team that care about the community. We're always open to partnerships and learning more about great works being done out in the community with other organizations and seeing how we can work together to serve this community and make it a place that we're all proud of. And I know we're proud, but make it even prouder as we move forward. So,
and thank you both, because I think in my understanding from Ms. Paula that we're working together. We are complementing the actions of all of the NGOs, all of the charities, because we want to make our community that much healthier, that much safer, that much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, after a news break, please return. We got something else we want to share with you. I tell you, we're building, from strength to strength in each segment. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Water Authority Cayman informs customers that the public water service will be temporarily interrupted on Marina Drive between the intersection of Marina Drive and Bamboo Street to Harbour House Marina on Sunday, September 10th between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. These planned works are to facilitate pipeline improvement works in the area. In international news, a part of China's Great Wall has been severely damaged by construction workers who used an excavator to dig through it. Police say people are suspected of trying to create a shortcut for their construction work. The two have been detained and the case is under further investigation. The 38-year-old man and 55-year-old woman were working near the affected area, the 32nd Great Wall. They dug a big gap by widening an existing cavity of the Great Wall so that their excavator could pass through it. Police say they wanted to reduce the distance they had to travel. Police also stressed that the two caused irreversible damage to the integrity of the Ming Great Wall and to the safety of the cultural relics. Authorities in Pennsylvania have closed 2 school districts as a manhunt for a convicted murderer who escaped from prison on August 31st enters its 6th day. Danilo Cavalcante was spotted twice overnight on Monday, police said. The Brazilian national was sentenced to life in prison just last month for stabbing an ex-girlfriend to death. Officials are also broadcasting messages from his mother pleading for surrender. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solids.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
It's one of the best moments of your life when you welcome your baby into the world. The HSA's experienced women's health and maternity team provides the highest quality of care throughout your pregnancy and delivery. As a JCI accredited hospital, we are the leader in maternal care, safely delivering over 700 babies annually. Visit hsa.ky for more information. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
I'm Liani Tibbetts, Miss World Cayman Islands 2022, and I need your help to keep Cayman clean. When you're out and about, please dispose of your trash in the proper containers. Do not throw trash out of your car or leave it on our beaches. And if you see litter, take a moment to pick it up and dispose of it properly.
Be a part of the solution, not the pollution. Littering is a crime punishable by a $500 fine or 6 months in prison. Brought to you by the Beautification Task Force and Ministry of Tourism and Ports.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
John James Bodden, 1884 to 1959.
Despite a limited education, John James Bodden was a hard-working man who contributed much to his family and friends. He served his country as a vestryman. His greatest interest was education and the building of a community of fairness and equality to all. At a very young age, he traveled to Nicaragua, where he worked in the gold mines to help support his parents and siblings. In the early 1920s, he returned home and married Carmen Ethel Watler, with whom he had 6 children. He sailed as a steward with the Webster Steamship Company, and he also sailed out of the United States on foreign flag ships. After many years, he retired from sea and came home to work for H.O. Marine Company as estate manager, which enabled him to provide jobs for the men of Bodden Town. He raised cattle and acted as a veterinarian in his neighborhood. He grew crops and gave generously to anyone who needed food.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands. Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome and thanks for joining us. And If at any point in life you think that I'm too positive and optimistic, that I smile and laugh too much because you're concerned that he doesn't have a care in the world, hey, thank you, because I cast all my cares, on someone else who can carry them much stronger. While I told you each day today, each segment's going to get better and better, well, our good friends from the Y have, sort of shifted seats to allow our great friends from the Cancer Society to join us. And maybe at some point I'll be reminded to tell you of the life-saving efforts of the operations manager, Mr. Dave Driscoll, over the Cancer Society. I might want to ask about that in a bit, only from the perspective of how we as a community should always be on the radio.
It'd be my pleasure.
All right. Well, Mr. Dave, good afternoon to you.
And good afternoon to you. Thank you for having us here.
I honestly value the opportunity to live, learn, laugh, and to be a part of a community as strong, dynamic, and vibrant as this. No matter all the jokes that we hit at our politicians, the little gestures we may make to each other, this is a beautiful place. There are people with great hearts, willing hands, and who step to the radiant no matter what. And we don't need a natural disaster for it to be so evident. It's just a loving place.
It's amazing. Before I moved here, I never thought I would give so much back to the community. I was never a bad person, don't get me wrong, but
I can't speak for myself, but anyway.
But I did, that was what was expected of me. And I did no wrong. But when I came here and years ago, and I started walking dogs for the Humane Society, and then I started collecting money from Movember. It's when you get a taste and a sniff of how strong the charitable community is here in Cayman, you can't help but just start to do more and more and more.
Thank you for sharing that, because for those who heard our other segment, and I can see the ease of overlap. Ms. Paula referenced that the charities, the NGOs, they work together. They complement each other. It's not a competition. Yes, they're asking donations from people, not just of their money, but hey, can you come and volunteer? We could use an extra couple of hours. And there are many of us who assist on a regular basis with the different charities. But something that I think that you share, Dave, and us, we leave the ladies because they're so important, right? We'll come to the second slide. But no matter how good you are, no matter how much you've done wherever you're from, for some reason when you're in Cayman, all of us, we give just willingly, wantingly, and we excel, but we get so much in that giving. Isn't it amazing? Just something that draws us to that service to community.
It's brilliant. It puts a smile on your face driving home. You know that it's the saying, together we are stronger.
Yes.
And like here, I know a lot of people now, you see now in the finance industry, it's really a keeping up with the Joneses with their Mercedes cars and their cars in Crystal Point or whatever it is. But I don't know, I don't feel that. It's for me, it's more like, leave no man behind. That we're all in this together, because you'll see the same faces all the time, whether you're going shopping in Costules, or you're going down to Governor's Beach for the afternoon on a Saturday, or you're going to the fountains of Camana Bay with your baby. You see the same people, and you want to see them do well, and it's great to see them also doing what they can for the community, and that fills my heart.
A rising tide floats all ships.
Exactly.
I think that's something that, especially on the island, we need to remember. I want to come in a minute to some other stuff, but as I'd asked you before we come in, I want you to introduce, because in every organization, and even in the Cancer Society in particular, I can think back to many of the stalwarts, the staff, but also the volunteers. There's always been a lady of exemplary character, of enthusiasm, of just that endless energy.
Yes, well, unfortunately, she couldn't make it here today. So, in her place.
And this is the friendship, this is the camaraderie. If you don't think it, you guys have such a wonderful.
Allow me to very proudly introduce Ms. Shirlene Blanchard, our Accounts and Promotions Officer at Cayman Islands Cancer Society. And yes, you're right. Every word you used does describe her very well. She You think she only works Monday to Friday? Not even that. There was 2 weekends ago, she was doing education presentations on a Saturday, and then she was at a health fair on a Sunday, and then she came back into work then Monday morning 9 o'clock to continue like the best work she ever does.
No overtime, no expectation of anything, right? And that presentation on Sunday, I saw one of your former colleagues like, oops, I'm being asked to come and assist. And you just pick up where you, as if you're part of the same team. But I like these, gestures. We see accountants as, but I should be careful because if they're listening, my friends who are accountants, they're by the book, literally, and it's about numbers. And we say, oh, they're not fun, but also they're only about accounting and the like. But as they have shared, you're doing the presentations, and many of us will say, well, accountants don't talk unless they're talking about the balance sheet. But you do it all right? Yeah. And that is not because it's a small organization and all hands on deck. It's about the spirit that's attracted to the organization.
Yes,
right?
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes our agenda can shift so quickly, you know, so we have to be flexible because in a split second something else may come up, and we have to drop whatever we're doing to focus on that other thing.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah.
But the notion that as we talk about cancer, and I hope no entity, no one feels anything other than a sense of inspiration. I think back to the Lions Club Tropical Gardens with their initial endeavors of their breast cancer awareness. I remember that very first meeting. Oh, wow. And the almost, my impression, sense of trepidation. What if nobody comes? Because the word cancer was so whispered that the person to whom your lips are almost touching their ears can't hear you. Am I exaggerating?
No, not at
right?
all.
And
it was a stigma behind the word.
Yeah.
They would say the C word.
Yeah.
Before.
Exactly. And people would even pass, and you wouldn't say what caused their demise. And the fact that it was a breast cancer, now the word breast, for some reason, well, thankfully we can say it, and maybe unfortunately we see breast and we think women, but we don't realize that it's a part of the anatomy, male or female. Yeah. But I should have to ask that as we look at the importance of those within the medical sphere being able to continue their education, to be able to interact with their colleagues from other jurisdictions, to keep their licensing current is important, but it can be costly if they have to travel. Yeah. Not just the cost to get there, just the time away, but the impact on their patients. So I gather you have something coming up that's going to help us.
Absolutely. Yes, I don't know if you noticed, but Cayman has come along in leaps and bounds in recent years in the terms of what we can offer in the medical industry on this island. Thanks to some visiting hospitals who have made Cayman their home, which has thus inspired other hospitals to up their game, and other clinics as well. And now we're very proud of the many medical entities we have here with the latest in technology and service that they can provide to patients. And yes, so to that end, we are hosting a CME, a Continued Medical Education Night, at the Marriott Ballroom on the 21st of this month. It is, I hope, if you are a doctor or a professional in the industry, you have received your invitation. If not, please reach out to us. Send us a quick email at info@cics.ky. We have guest speakers from local and international medical organisations, clinics and hospitals who will be giving very in-depth, but not too long.
Not too long, no.
Thank
you. Presentations on a range of topics. We have what is it, Charlene? Is it eight speakers?
Eight speakers,
in total, yeah. So you can be sure that they will cover a multitude of topics.
Yes.
And what's interesting, my friends and family who are within that medical field, the times that they've gone, they not only does it check the box for their continued licensure, but they actually come away with an added colleague as a network, as a bridge, but something that sparks their interest, reminds them. And you're never too old to learn. You're not too much invested in a career that you can't benefit from new perspective, right?
Right, that's right. And I think it's people are excited about this because we have not had one since 2019. And you know, because
4 centuries ago.
That thing that happened in between there, so that we're not going to mention.
The new C word.
But we're back now, and we're hoping that this year will be better than.
But thank you for phrasing it that way, because I recognize that we are social beings, and as much as some of us need to be in a quiet space, I honestly believe we need that. It's so important that we come together, to exchange ideas, to collaborate, to be able to share, and to be reminded that we're alive.
Yeah, but to be inspired as well, and you know, to kind of to ignite that competitive edge in you as well as a medical professional. Like you see these new guys coming into Ireland now, and you're like, wow, that was some presentation he has. You know, I need to find my passion again, and see what I can do to keep up with these boys.
And to recognize that, as you shared, David, within the Cayman community, you can have wealth in many ways, but if your people can have immediate access to something that not only cutting edge and life saving, but may cause them to then and there, you know, avail themselves of it because it's there. It's not something that I can get to later on, and then it becomes an emergency. Yes. Prevention is better than cure.
Yep, prevention, early detection especially. Yes, we've been pushing that for a long time now. And with all the screenings that are available on this island now, it's you're running out of excuses. You know, you need to put your pride aside.
Yeah. Can I referenced it earlier, and with your consent, we were both there. And this is something where I think the community needs to increasingly understand that first aid training, a sense of participating, you know, let's say in the Cancer Society, you get a level of confidence. I hope no one takes it, you know, improperly or in the wrong way. But if you're in your community and you're part of your CERT team, the Community Emergency Response Team, you're building strength in yourself and confidence, but also in your community, that you can have the first aid, the leadership, the disaster management, the notion that you know your neighbor and you're no longer as reticent to respond.
Yes, and you can step up.
Yeah,
you know, like I say, when sometimes big things happen, some people fold, some people focus. And with knowledge, you'll focus.
Yeah.
And when you are one, and then there's somebody else, you can almost communicate without saying anything, or you can speak a shorthand language and assist each other. And it may be that it's an emergency and that person's life is at stake. It may be that you just comfort in a person so they don't become so agitated and unwittingly harm themselves by being, as though would say, flustered. And if you can do that and you can create calm, the things around you can continue without it becoming a scene as they were.
Yes, very true.
And then you can do it with such humility and modesty that it works well. It's so crucial. And I think that comes back to what our community is, Michelle, and the idea that the more of us that are empowered, another word that we tend to use so much these days, that I'm concerned that we no longer understand the value. You know, we draw alongside each other. We have the courage. We also have the competence, we have the confidence, and we understand that communal act brings us better, right?
Yes.
And I can be a presenter. Sorry, Dave, you said that.
You can have that one.
Thank you.
And, you know, and it is so important, you know, when the community can come together. And we always say this: we can't do what we do without the team of volunteers that we have behind us, because it's only 3 of us in the office, and it's a lot of work, and the volunteers, I mean, they make it happen. You know, so and we're grateful to all of our volunteers for always being there. In a split second, we can just call on them and they just come out in their numbers, you know.
This is something that, you know, I said earlier, a small team, and many of us don't. If we don't know, we don't realize, you know, how much is on that core team, as it were. Because it's not just the 3; it's probably the 3,000. You know, look at your annual walk. Look at all the activities, the partnerships that are so evident. But to Dave's point earlier, that sense of charity and giving and involvement, I'm hopeful that we'll continue to not only celebrate that, but do everything to make that our ethos. Because it's not just the walking of the dogs, it's not just the volunteering in the prisons with the reading programs or in the schools. This is what makes our community healthy in every aspect.
Yes, yeah, to help each other, even in the smallest things, the smallest little instances in a grocery store, or even as high as being a doctor presenting at CME, because you want to improve and attain a higher level of medical competence on this island.
Something that you shared sort of inspired me. I may consider asking the public to look at it, because there is something special and unique in particular about Cayman. Not just those who've been here for the longest of times, whether generational, but even those who just come. It's not the newness, it's the genuineness that we feel in our community. And I think increasingly we've got to be mindful that that one individual doing that one act that stands out in a negative way needs to be called into account to say, this isn't how we do it here. You don't leave your trash there, you don't drive in this manner in this area like this. And because we're so polite and accommodating, we may be unwilling to call the person to account. That needs to change. We need to get back to where we all give in. As good as we were, we're so much better because we're together.
Yes, I know how you feel. I driving home every day, I want to tell lots of people how they should indicate turning onto Northwest Point Road or the likes.
I think that would be helpful, especially me trying to pull out on the right. Just tell me you're coming, man.
Yeah, I know.
No, man. But that's where we're knowing each other. We're part of a community. So for the CME on the 21st and the fair on the 23rd, what do we as the general public, is the initial CME only for the medical?
It is, I'm afraid. Yeah. Trust me, the general public probably wouldn't enjoy the CME as much. Yeah. It'd be like watching a foreign TV program without subtitles. There'd be the words I don't even understand.
But it speaks to their community of doctors and professionals.
Yes, and the fact that we have so many, we have over 100 people confirmed to come already. We only sent out the invites. Was it last week? The week before last?
Last week I sent.
Yeah, and capacity is 150, so we're well on our way to sell out of that. So that's great news. We're very happy that so many doctors and professionals are interested in continuing their medical education.
Yeah.
But the health fair on the Saturday, that's the one that the rest of the world gets to come to see.
Yes.
And it's very important, I mean, for the wider community, because it's almost all day, right?
Yeah, we start at 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. And we will have lots of doctors, health professional, massage therapists, physiotherapists, food, healthy food.
Nutritionists and dietitians.
Yes, that will be present. We are expecting about 40 booths at the health fair. We will also have doctors speaking to the wider community and talks in layman terms that everyone can understand.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, like a dumbed down CME, if you will.
Yeah. So we will have doctors doing short talks because we don't want to get people bored and that they get up and leave. So those will be 20-minute presentations, and then that will be going on throughout the day on the Saturday.
And if any of us have ever been, I mean, you can sit and listen to each presentation, and each successive one, builds on something that maybe, gives you an insight, as you said, in a language that you can relate to. But there are particular ones that are just for that individual,
Yes.
Very, very, very informative.
Yes, absolutely. And we're trying to cover all aspects with an increased focus on healthy living and what you can do to improve your health through diet and exercise and health screenings and all that, because after all, this is the Conquering Cancer Health Fair. And if you provide your body with all the fuel it needs, it will do a much better job of fighting off cancer. And that's what we want everyone to do.
And in our conversation last night, a very good friend reminded me that sometimes we're maybe neglectful of how we treat our bodies, what we put into our bodies. So the foods that we eat may be lacking adequate nutrition, the way we prepare it, but even sometimes the sourcing of it, and to what extent is that food, having a negative consequence on our health and well-being, or our mental clarity and the like.
Yep.
These are things that we might be able to take on board, and whether it's a little bit more ginger and turmeric, whether it's a little tea from the backyard, or whether it's actually listening to your physician and dietitian and following advice.
Yes, yeah, it's we have come a long way now, and I'm always happy when I'm driving to work every morning and I see the market doing so, the one down by the cricket ground, running every day now, and doing so well, and always meeting people who have got their veggies and fruits from the market and all sorts that you never thought could be grown here.
Yeah.
It's great, and you know that something that is grown down the road and picked and eaten within a week is definitely going to be good for you.
Man, a good friend brought me some callaloo, man, and I'm telling you, I'm enjoying every nibble. All right, well, it's only a few days away when you think about it, so make plans, Ms. Arlene, for the health fair for the public.
We want to invite the general public to come out to the health fair on Saturday, September 23rd, starting at 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. And make sure and come out. There will be giveaways from all of the booths that are there. They will have nutritional material, to pens, to notepads, to just come out and
all the swag, of course. Yeah.
It's so important because I think it's a good reminder of what we have and what we could be doing if it's right in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course we will have so much health screening.
Yes.
Yeah, from blood pressure checks to I think we're going to have PSA screening,
glucose
tests, skin cancer screening, hearing tests,
mouth screenings.
Yeah, so you can get your. I'm not going to say you can get your full checkup in one day. But if you can't get it done there, you can definitely schedule it, which is what you should be doing.
And that's the thing, sometimes we don't, because we don't think there's an issue, and sadly we wait. As Mr. Roy Borden always reminds us, don't wait for that niggling and ignore it.
Yeah.
We go and we check it out. So while you're there, may as well.
Yes.
You're in the supermarket, how many impulse purchases have we had because we're there? Well, let this be that thing where you're there, you do those screening, the PSA, you really can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. Yes. And now, like, I'm a young family. I'm not a young man, but my family is young. And you start to realize how important your health is, because when you see your children and you go, okay, well, look, this is my job now. I need to look after her. To look after her, I need to look after me.
That's right.
And I need to be healthy and strong for as long as I can for her. So
That's right.
Yeah, so I encourage, if you are starting a young family, you have started a young family, and you are starting to realize the important things in life, trust me, come down to this public health fair and we will show you what the important things are.
Okay, that's the 23rd of September.
Yes.
At the Marriott?
At the Marriott Ballroom, 9 to 2 p.m.
All right. Well, between now and then, if we can be of value, I know we have Ms. Rebecca coming up on the 14th to share with us a bit of a preview. So we'll mention it then as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But hopefully we'll put it on a calendar.
Yes.
Always a pleasure to laugh with you.
Thank you for having us.
And you know what? I think in your next life you'll be a comedian, man. I'll be a sidekick.
Fair enough. All right.
There
We'll do our own show. Late night show.
Thanks again, man. Have a wonderful week. So the 21st, for those medical professionals, and then the 23rd for the wider community, for the Conquering Cancer Symposium at the Marriott. All right, we're going to pause and take a break, and I'll see if there's some dark chocolate somewhere. I can close my eyes and imagine at least. So join us after. Stay tuned.
It's game time, Subway fans. We're upping our sub game with the all-new Subway Series menu, an all-star lineup of 6 delicious recipes. Just order by name or number and we'll do the rest. Whether you're catching a quick lunch or just need a tasty victory, the Subway Series menu is coming in clutch. Subway Series, easy to order, hard to resist. Try it today, only at Subway. Eat fresh.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you want to go scuba diving on your vacation, don't bedazzle your wetsuit. And you think you look great, but what you don't realize is that you look like a shiny, scaly fish. And it won't take long for a shark to notice you. Next thing you know, you're busting out every karate move you got. But if you're smart, you'll have CG medical insurance and get airlifted out to the closest hospital.
Get coverage for emergency evacuations. CG Britke. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
Did you know that once properly sanitized, some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after coming in contact with floodwater? In order to properly sanitize these tins, always remove labels, and then wash tins in a strong detergent solution using a brush to get rid of excess impurities. Tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air dried before opening.
For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DAH website at www.gov.ky/DAH.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Ready for more fun, more data, and endless connections? Digicel's all-new postpaid plans got you covered. Get more entertainment data for Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. Endless social data for WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. And more international minutes than ever before. Stay connected on the fastest, most reliable network in Cayman. Make the switch today. Digicel. Better connected.
Join us on Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 a.m. on Radio Cayman for The Business Buzz. The Business Buzz is produced by Susan Watson and hosted by Anita Khan, who brings her own unique, enthusiastic, and engaging perspective to The Business Buzz. Tune in as we put a spotlight on a wide cross-section of businesses in the Cayman Islands. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 a.m. on Radio Cayman.
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. All right, everybody, ready? Let's try an exercise. If you're sitting down, stand up. If you're standing up, sit down. Just be quiet. If you're talking, just be quiet and listen. Just joking. It's a beautiful day. It's only Tuesday and such enthusiasm, such positivity. Well, we're going to continue our partnership with our friends over at the Health Services Authority. My good friends, welcome. Colin, how are you, man?
I am well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah. Listen, I'm so good. I'm a father's son, so I'm honored, man. It's all good. You know, I say that because I think some days we know where we are, we know who we are, we know what we are. Then there's some days we need to be reminded. And I think that this is September. And some friends have said, what is it with this year 2023? It's just an arrest to end. We're already in September. And come Monday, it will be 19 years since the passage of Hurricane Ivan. 19 years. Mm-hmm. I was only 2. Thank you all for laughing. I mean, you know, there's more of that later. But it's been 19 years. A lot has happened in that time. You know, I've come out of my teen years. But it's easy to forget sometimes what it's like. And maybe we expect a partnership with HNCI come June to be prepared for the hurricane season. We're reminded of all the things. But days can pass, months can pass, decades can pass, and we could become complacent. But we should always be prepared, right? Mm-hmm. So as we welcome this discussion, through you, and I'll get you to introduce your colleagues in a minute, but start with you, Mr. Colin.
I'm Colin Medford, Chief Pharmacist of the Cayman Islands Health Services Authority. And with me today is Mr. McCoy, and he's with the EMT. I think he should introduce himself. I just realized that.
Yeah, no. I wasn't sure if you're going to pivot right or left, but I think the right bringing thing goes left.
So my name's Aaron McCoy. I'm the business coordinator for EMS.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, thanks. And this is where we'll see in a minute how the HSA pulls in and the importance of not just about our medications and making sure we have a sufficient supply, but being up to date with our visits. But anyway, so to Mr. McCoy, notice how we gentlemen always leave the latest for last, because the best for best, right?
Definitely. All right, good afternoon. My name is Natalie Calm. I am the Disaster Coordinator and Health and Safety Manager at the Health Services Authority.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ms. Natalie, I had to hyphenate you Harvard Calm, so
yes.
Should I do that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No. I should have asked prior, but thank you for publicly letting me know that. So he's calling Medford.
Good.
I wasn't drinking anything today, man. That's the problem. But when we're thinking of medications in particular and hurricane preparations, Colin, you're the chief pharmacist, as you reminded us. Are there particular things that we as patients, but also as the parents of our children, or even the children who have older parents, but even ourselves as patients, that we need to maybe be even more mindful, not just with an impending storm, but just in general, when it comes to being prepared, making sure we have sufficient resources when it comes to our medications and the like. Because supply chain issue seems to be everything that, from the lumber to partly health insurance to property insurance, supply chain seems to be the issue.
Yeah, supply chain accompanied by demand. Well, you've segued into something that is really important on a daily basis, and that is the fact that for some reason, for several reasons, persons tend to either forget or neglect their medications and their refills and so on. And one of the things we've been trying to do over the past years is to remind persons that they ought to, if you've got refills this is on a normal everyday basis, to ensure that you've put those in to the hospital, to the pharmacy, at least a week before they're going to run out, which gives us a chance, if we don't have it in stock, to realize that hey, we need to order some more of this item, or it gives them time to have ongoing meds, and at the same time, when those meds run out, they have got the next set to start without a break in the care. And that's the important thing. It's not that we want them to come early so we don't have a lot of patients in the waiting room. It is more about the ongoing continuum of care, and then that goes right into the hurricane season, where it's the same thing. If a storm comes, God forbid, we want patients to have access, especially those patients who are chronic patients, who have chronic meds or chronic conditions. We want those patients to ensure that they've got meds to take after an incident or after an event. One of the things, I say this every time I come on the show, but I'm sure there's someone who hasn't heard it. But one of the things we realized after Ivan was that we'd given persons like a month's supply, sometimes 2 months' supply of meds. And those same persons came back to us after the event to tell us that they'd lost everything in the floodwaters, they'd lost it someplace, misplaced it, couldn't find it, got wet, got damaged, can't take it. And as a result of that, we found ourselves in a very tenuous situation, because we also had patients who were not HSA patients, because all the other pharmacies were closed at that time initially. We also had patients who were not HSA patients who were coming to us for their meds as well. And it placed a considerable strain on us. luckily for us, at that time there were no issues with medication outages and so on, as we see even now, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute as well. But we had supplies, but those supplies also only had a limited amount of time before they ran out. And even though we were able to give persons for the first 2-3 weeks, thankfully we got some donations from overseas that supplemented. But even though we were able to give persons supplies for the first couple of weeks, we could see where, if the regular pharmacies didn't open, we could see where the situation would have gotten kind of critical for patients who were getting prescriptions and then patients who were coming for repeats. And it sort of worked out very smoothly in the end, but it could have gone a whole different way if things weren't how they were.
It is where that level of preparation, Ms. Natalie, comes into place, right?
Exactly. So we always emphasize the need to be prepared, and being prepared starts at the start of the hurricane season. And we all know this starts from June 1st, run all the way to November 30th. So your supply should be ready, as Mr. Medford so rightly said, medication-wise. So when you go and see your physicians, you need to speak to them, ask them about these extra supplies in preparation for the hurricane season, and not when we are at a threat.
And I think, increasingly, I don't want to say that we've become spoiled or conditioned or accustomed, but there's an expectation. You go to the pharmacy, you may give them the 1 week lead time because they've always delivered, but there are issues, Colin, where you've been trying for the longest time to get it from somewhere, but there are demands from other places and your supply isn't just readily available.
Yeah, a lot of the dynamics that we had back then, let's say 19 years ago, have changed over the past 20 years. It is 20 years, basically. And one of the things that has happened is, first of all, we've got a larger population. We've got we treat now a larger caption of conditions. And in some of those conditions, we've got more patients who require the same meds as others. So there's a greater demand on the supplies that we have, which also means that at some point in time, things will run out. We try our best as much as possible, and we've been quite successful in recent times at maintaining proper levels of medicines. But we are also competing with the rest of the world, and as a small country, we've got to really fight sometimes to get the supplies that we need for our patients. Like I said earlier, we've been fortunate in that a lot of the items that we need that are critical we have, and we have access to them through sometimes multiple sources. And but like in that competition that I just mentioned, there's still times when shortages come up that are out of our control or beyond our control. And in those times, we try as much as possible to mitigate the problems by finding other sources. As a government hospital, of course, we've got to find the best sources possible as well. So we just can't up and buy the drugs from any place. We've got to be very careful that what we give the public is exactly what they're supposed to have. And basically that's it. But like I said earlier, we have been fortunate as far as getting supplies are concerned. And we have not dropped our laurels and said, oh well, we're getting the medication and so on. We still keep the same level of persistence as far as getting those crucial meds are concerned, all meds.
And that duty of care, I think, extends in many respects. So, Mr. McCoy, when we come back, let's talk about the EMS and the notion that many of us probably expect, when we call, the ambulance will be there. But there may be times when, for safety reasons for everybody concerned, it may not be able to be there when we want. Give us a perspective as we talk about it after the break. All right, hurricane preparedness. Yes, we are in September, and come Monday, it'll be 19 years since the passage of Ivan. Maybe it's a good time to be mindful of where we are and to give thanks. So join us after the break.
All aboard the Pizza Boat! Cayman's newest pizzeria. Birthday parties, office luncheons, summer camps, game night. Whatever your occasion, bring the fun with Pizza Boat. And Cayman twist to pizza. Bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas all day, every day. What's more, now you can enjoy a boat-shaped pizza with toppings of your choice. It's Pizza Boat. Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Pick up or delivery 949-0000 or order online www.pizzaboat.ky. Pizza Boat. Experience the ultimate pizza voyage.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The Fry Jack Fishing Tournament is on. The Rotary Cayman Brac Fry Jack Fishing Tournament. Get your sunscreen, untangle your lines, oil your reels, get your fuel, secure your safety gear, get ready to fish. Tournament day is Sunday, September 10th. Call Rotarian Annie Rose at 916-7310 or contact any Brac Rotarian. There is no fishing like Cayman Brac fishing. The Fry Jack Fishing Tournament proceeds will fund Rotary projects by Rotary Club of Cayman Brac, supported by Rotary Central of the Cayman Islands. Rotary, creating hope in the world.
According to statistics in the 2022 Cayman Islands Student Drug Use Survey, 23.1% of students reported being bullied in the last 12 months. The Anti-Bullying Schools Regulations 2022, brought forward by the Ministry of Education, aim to prevent bullying in our schools and help schools create a welcoming and safe learning environment for our children. Please encourage your children to report bullying to an educator. Learn more at gov.ky/education.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks to our wonderful public service and servants. For those who are part of the core government as civil servants, and those who are part of our statutory-owned companies, statutory authorities, and governmental companies, great. It's what makes our community strong. And this partnership with the Health Services Authority in particular, as we talk about hurricane preparedness. Good timing, given Monday, 19 years ago, many of us were looking at coconuts and taking them down for the trees, and many were in prayer. So if you are those who subscribe to that, please be gracious and grateful for all. So, Mr. McCoy, as we're going into the break, we're asking you when we return to tell us about, where your section, as we look at the whole notion of being prepared and asking out sometimes, as we dial 911 or shout from our rooftops, "Hey, I need an ambulance." You're going to come to the rescue, right?
For the best we can.
For the best we can.
In terms of assessing, hurricane preparedness, it can be broken down into 3 stages. It can be prior, during, and post-storm. With the storm approaching, I'm going to say the stage of prior, we're going to be assessing patients and transporting patients that are vulnerable or have been identified that need medical monitoring or assistance, and they'll be transported to the respective health centers. 24 hours prior to a storm approaching, all of our dialysis patients are transported to dialysis unit and dialyzed in preparation. And in terms of EMS internally, it's staff preparation, so arranging for variant shifts because we do have to ride out the storm. It's not like your everyday Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday.
Monday.
Yeah. We don't have the luxury of a 9 to 5. But nonetheless, making sure that staff are appropriately arranged, and asset management, so that staging of vehicles, making sure they're properly prepared, so that when the time does come that we can respond appropriately. During the storm, as I said, it's mainly about riding out the storm. So in coalition with 911, we'll be logging calls based on patient acuity and priority, so that once we can respond, that we're able to in an appropriate manner. Once tropical storm winds are over the island, the EMS vehicles no longer operate, and we're limited in that aspect. So as I said, ensuring that we understand the priority of calls post-storm is incredibly important.
And as I listen to you, I mean, there are two immediate things that jump out. One is that we're people, whether we are parents or otherwise, there are personal obligations to our families and the like, but we also are tasked with a level of responsibility as part of our jobs. So balancing that, not just the scheduling to have people, but then ensuring that as individuals we're tending to our personal preparation and needs as well.
Correct.
And the community is requiring, demanding, insisting, expecting that you're going to be available at our beck and call as you are now. And yet the safety of the vehicle, the occupants, and the patient who's being transported. We don't want to, what they say in business, not to throw good money after bad. Put people in peril because we're trying to respond in a good endeavor. What can we do? I liken it to Colin's comment, ordering your meds a week before, giving you sufficient supply. Are there things we can do? You shared your dialysis patients were brought in earlier to make sure that we give them every possible care. Are there other things we can do as a wider community?
I mean, as individuals, particularly those who are on long-term medications, ensuring that, as Colin said, ensuring they have an adequate supply for the storm and post-storm, but ensuring that your medications are properly packed in watertight containers. As they say, during Ivan, people came in post-storm despite being given, a month or two supply because they were lost. It also means that when EMS does arrive, that they're ready and packed to go.
Yeah. You want to take it with you because it's just convenient. But Miss Natalie.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what he says. In level of preparation, so the home care patient, the nurses in the district clinic, they would have already have their home care list, and they would have already reached out to these patients to say, hey, in the event of an hurricane, what do you want us to do? Would you want to be transported to the emergency medical centers, or will you stay at home? And those who have identified, I want to be transported to the emergency medical centers, then that list would be created and sent to the EMS department in preparation for impending weather.
And sometimes, and just as I listen to you and the logistics, removing people that in many cases can't be moved in a regular vehicle.
Right.
They may not be ambulatory. We got to put them, and their staffing, there's timing. They're probably the rest of us on the roads doing our last minute stuff that congest the traffic, that could impede even the ambulance with the siren.
Right.
So that creates added time for the preparation.
Right.
It's, if you look at it, there's a lot of moving pieces.
Exactly. So we all work together as a team here, from the EMS, the pharmacy, right through the entire organization. And we want to make sure that everybody's on board with what we're saying. Because as you can recall, I was here earlier at the start of hurricane season, and now I'm back here just to reiterate what we had discussed before, just to let everybody know what the Health Services Authority offers.
And I think this is why it's timely now, not just because it's September, not just because, in my mind, the significance of remembering the passage of Hurricane Ivan, but also understanding that, like that year, it could extend into January the following year. Mother Nature, whatever reasons and beliefs and seasons, can decide to what intensity it wants to create whatever system, right, Colin? So we need to be prepared, we need to be mindful, and as proactive and sometimes preemptive.
Right. And we must remember, too, that lessons learned from Ivan have caused us to make the necessary changes. So we are now, we were prepared then, but we are now at the brink where we're saying, hey, this is what we learned, this is our takeaway, this is what we have put in place to mitigate any risk if possible.
Yeah.
And we revisit and update our preparations annually, every year. And not just HSA. Is the HSA along with all of the other primary players involved, stakeholders, police, hazard management, even the other hospitals as well. It is one big response team, national response team, as far as the season is concerned, and any other national disaster preparedness programs or plans.
This is where I think too that for me, I can never seem to say it sufficiently or even any endeavor exaggerated, no matter how much I say. Our community response teams, that emergency aspect of it, as we are educating, they're not just there as an emergency, they're an educated group of citizens within a specific community that have identified their skill sets. The pharmacist may live in there, as is the physician, as is the carpenter, as is the school teacher, who will have to go to her sort of normal scheduled job, but it's still a part of that community, and that skill set can help to inform, can help to empower, can help to encourage those people, so that during that time they can draw on that resource. It makes us all mindful that we're in this together. Just like Mr. McCoy, you were saying, we have particular skill sets and training that have been offered, whether it's CPR or otherwise, that can be beneficial if we're willing to be part of a coordinated effort and approach. Colin, with that though, we look at medicines, and sometimes we, become complacent in the sense that there's an expectation. I'll just go and get it. It's open, it's there, it's the pharmacy.
Well, one of the things I think we need to be mindful of is the fact that the persons in the pharmacy also have to do their preparations like everybody else. They've got families, they've got children, and so on. That is not done to impact on the delivery of patient care. But at the same time, it's an emergency situation, which is not a normal everyday occurrence. So under those circumstances, sometimes we are operating with fewer persons than normal, because we have to give persons time off to do their own preparations and to get themselves in order. And with that, we like to ask the public to allow patients to observe the instructions that we put out for the season. And like we've been saying for the entire evening, prepare themselves for any upcoming event, or even if there's none, be prepared just in case, because it's a long season. It's probably the longest season for the year of any kind, and it's one of those seasons where it's very unpredictable. We can have nice days all the way up to maybe October, and then suddenly we get a flurry of storms coming off, or they're coming through. So we just never know. But one of the things that we try to tell our patients to do every year is to ensure they have at least 2 weeks supply of medicines. And Mr. McCoy alluded to it just now when he mentioned having it in a secure container, a watertight container. It doesn't have to be a Rubbermaid bag, plastic bin, but if you've got that, fine, as long as the cover clips securely, and but a Ziploc bag is fine, or a well intact plastic bag is good as well. You see, the good thing about that is if you've got a flood situation, those things float, and if you drop it, you'll be able to snatch it back up in the rush to perhaps go to the shelter wherever you're going. And if it does drop, it is in a watertight situation where nothing is damaged, and your efforts to get your 2 week supply is not in vain. We advise persons to do that, and we ask them to do that in advance, because I think it's a Caribbean thing where we just tend to do everything at the last minute, and then you hear there's a storm coming, it's almost there, and you're at the supermarket in a long line, and then you decide you're going to go to the pharmacy last. And then when you get to the pharmacy, there is also a line there, but now the time is upon us, the storm is almost there. And for two reasons, we try as hard to avoid that situation. One, it is one of those situations that can cause errors to happen, because you've got more pressure, less people sometimes. And it's also one of those situations where we don't want people to be caught trying to get home when the winds start, when the rain starts, when the roads are flooding, and so on. It is important for when the police clears the streets, or whenever the authorities say we need to get off the streets, that there's a minimal amount of people on the road. And for that reason, we ask persons to do this in advance, like weeks before, request it. And that also provides for, if there are shortages, then we can get the meds. We've some time to get the meds in and get them the supplies that they need in order for them to have them stored. Now, in doing so, they're supposed to keep them in those containers. But every time, if you're going to see the doctor during the hurricane season, I'm sure many of them will, they need to take those meds to the doctor with them, because it is quite possible changes may happen. Your condition may require a higher dose or a lower dose. The doctor may want to see what you've got in your
almost your arsenal, as I want to say to some people.
I'd prefer to say medicine cabinet. But the doctor it will be useful. It is useful, and even outside of hurricane season, it is useful for patients to take their current meds to the hospital so the doctors can see exactly what they're taking. And that also includes medicines that they buy from a regular pharmacy.
Over-the-counter stuff.
Absolutely. Okay. Over-the-counter stuff, vitamins, and sometimes some of us go to other doctors and get other medicines, and both doctors don't know. And sometimes we need to tell patients that, you're taking drug X and drug B. They told them don't go together. But if you don't tell the doctors, they will never know. So it is important for the doctors to see exactly what you've been taking, because it is quite possible that even though you're taking it to make yourself better, that might not be the case.
Because of interactions and the like.
Interactions, adverse drug reactions, so many things. And there's so much more. That's a different interview.
No, and we should have that at some point. But as we go into the break, I'm also thinking that, yes, the physician may be able to look on the screen and say, yes, you're taking drug A, B, C, and D. But if you have it physically, they might say, well, you're supposed to be taking, but this was prescribed, a month ago, and nothing is gone, Oh, I forgot. I didn't know.
And it's human. I mean, it's some people don't want to take the medicine in the first place, but they have to.
Somebody called you and told you about me,
Yeah, but it is really important, because it's in their best interest to be responsible and ensure that they have those meds those 2 weeks before.
We got a news break. When we come back, you want to continue sharing some more, or do we want to take an early exit and go for lunch? Because I'm hungry. I mean, who votes for lunch? Oh, we got to stay and work. Okay, so me and Miss Natalie will go for lunch. She's going to go get some curry goat. I got taste oxtail. You guys can stay and host the show. All right, if you want to see what's going to happen, if I'm going to be here when we return, you got to join us back. I might not be. We'll see. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man, your voice, your choice.
I meant to ask you
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Just after 10:10 a.m. yesterday, September 4th, police reported to a robbery that took place at a gas station located on Walker's Road in the vicinity of Comer Drive, Georgetown. It was reported that an employee exited the gas station store and was approached by a man who was believed to be in possession of a knife. The man demanded money and the employee attempted to resist. However, the man managed to steal a quantity of cash and made off on foot in the direction of Comer Drive. Witnesses are being encouraged to call the Georgetown Police Station at 949-4222. In international news, the Cuban Foreign Ministry says it has uncovered a human trafficking ring aimed at recruiting Cubans to fight for Russia in its war in Ukraine. It said that Cubans living in Russia and even some in Cuba have been incorporated into the military forces taking part in the war in Ukraine. Cuba is a close ally of Russia, but it stressed in its statement it does not form part of the conflict in Ukraine. There has not yet been a response from Russia. The Cuban Foreign Ministry did not specify who was behind the operation. United Airlines issued a nationwide ground stop on all flights that was quickly lifted, the Federal Aviation Administration has confirmed. In a statement, the airline said that all departures were halted due to a system-wide technology issue. Flights already in the air are continuing to their destination as planned, the airline said. United said it identified a fix to allow flights to resume. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Honey, did you get your Benzorama ticket yet?
Benzorama what?
The Lions Club Benzorama fundraiser. You could win a brand new Mercedes-Benz.
What? I have always wanted a Mercedes. What kind of Benz?
A brand new sparkling 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Tickets are $25 for one, $3 for $65, or $5 for $100. And you're helping to support the many Lions Club of Grand Cayman causes.
Driving in my new Benz and feeling good about helping the community.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama Fundraiser. Your chance to win a 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available from Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama Fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, include site screening, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us. And I'm grateful to our good friends over the Health Services Authority, and especially now as we're in the throes of the hurricane season and we're talking about hurricane preparedness. We've got the chief pharmacist. Yeah, some would say the chief cook and bottle washer, but let's call me a friend. We want to elevate you that you have enough responsibilities. So thanks for coming on board.
Thank you.
And for bringing along, two of your colleagues. So, Ms. Natalie?
Yes.
You think, no, I think you're probably like, he may be the chief cook and bottle washer, but you actually given the directions. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to know your place, Mr. Midford.
Absolutely.
But, Mom, it's my attempt for us to be able to look at this with a bit of levity, but not for it to be frivolous and not to somehow become so, casual with our approach that the complacency seeps in and we say, oh, well, it was 20 years ago. Yeah, we had, as some of us would joke, a young hurricane just the other day with the passage of a tropical storm, or was it a young hurricane? Any kind of inclement weather can pose a problem, not just for the country, but maybe for your particular area or just your household. Mm-hmm. And that thing that was unexpected always now become a calamity for you because your medicines were misplaced or displaced, or in your rush to get somewhere, you inadvertently dropped them, and now you're creating an emergency situation for you. Mm-hmm. They say, plan to prepare, right?
Right, so you have to prepare to plan.
Yeah.
So in this planning phase, we have to educate our population about our medical emergency centers, or the
Mm-hmm.
EMCs, emergency medical centers. And we have 9 throughout the 3 islands, and they are as follows. The Prospect Primary School, Sir John A. Comber Primary School, William Allen McLaughlin Civic Center, Craddock. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I know.
Craddock, Ebanks Civic Center, Clifton Hunter High School Gymnasium, Bordentown Primary School Multipurpose Hall, Savannah Primary School Assembly Hall, Ashton Rotty Center, and that is in Cayman Brac, and Public Works Department Building, and that's in Little Cayman. I want to put a pause right here and just talk a little bit more about the emergency medical centers. So these centers are really to provide medical services during an hurricane, and there's a criteria that who can go there. And just in case anybody missed it, this information is also available at Cayman Prepared. We also send this information out via our communication team at the Health Services Authority. So our primary service is to provide medical care to the vulnerable. And who will fall in this category? This would be persons who are oxygen dependent, those who are ventilator dependent, those who are wheelchair bound, persons with severe reduced mobility, persons with mental illness but are non-violent, persons who have medical impairment and have some limited, need some assistance with activities of daily living, those with partial paralysis, and persons with dementia who cannot be housed at regular shelters. Also, if these persons are at home and they have caregivers, the caregivers are requested to come into the shelter with them.
Mm-hmm. Now, in that instance, because I think sometimes, we have I'd say the wonderful benefit of having individuals that we can have assist us with the love and care of our aged and those who are, disabled and otherwise, right? So that caregiver, you or the caregiver can accompany, but if the person is able and not needed, how does that work?
No. If they have a caregiver, we want their caregiver to come in with them, because the idea is the caregiver is that familiar face, and coming into the medical center, it's a place they're unfamiliar with, and if they have dementia or the elderly, they can get disoriented, and having that familiar face will bring them back, kind of reassure them, kind of set some calm to them, so we encourage it.
Yeah, and the issue with dementia, for those who have that, to deal with their loved one, there are times when they become disoriented. They may become a bit agitated, and as you shared, if they can't be housed at a regular facility, this is where the emergency medical center comes in.
Exactly, and these medical centers, they have nurses and physicians, and we have also mental health staff in this area as well. So we are fully equipped as if it was a health center. And I must also mention that if for any reason the all clear is given and the healthcare or the clinics are not able to open, or the roads is impassable, then the emergency medical center will still be in operation until everything is all set and the different facilities are able to open.
And as you reflected on it, we have the hospital facilities where those patients who are there are being cared for, but in the medical centers, there's almost like a tier down where we're trying to give. That's a TIER, not a TEAR.
Yeah, please.
Maybe my best English accent, a tier down.
Tier.
And not the tier that comes with it. These are important centers for those people to be given the requisite care that they need.
Yes. So they have the necessary staff, as I mentioned earlier, to provide the care that is needed. Supplies are there. We also recommended that if they come in, they should take their equipment. So if you're on oxygen, you take that with you. Take whatever you normally would. If you're on BiPAP, CPAP, whatever it is, you take that in with you as well. So we do have this care, we do have the quality care that we all know HSA is well known for. We still provide that in the emergency medical centers.
I think this is where our community can see not just the level of service, but what we offer to our community. It's first rate, and you don't realize it until you're elsewhere or you have these unfortunate occurrences. And we take it for granted. Which is, maybe it's, you can't see the forest for the trees sometimes. You don't appreciate it. The sunshine until it's been cloudy days, right, Colin?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me ask, though, because with the medical centers, like any shelter, any space, there's a capacity. And with our population increasing, with the growing needs, the medical needs of our community, sometimes we're not sure. Is it that we should be assessed by your physician in order to get a space? Is it that we just say, listen, this is the situation, and you've mentioned the criteria, but that's increasingly more and more with our elderly and many of our own.
That is true. The capacity of the population itself is increasing, and as Mr. Medford mentioned earlier, in our emergency support team, and that is a committee that we have with all external agencies as well. When we met, we were cognizant of the fact that our population has increased and therefore the need for these emergency shelters. We have the capacity, the numbers that can be housed in each shelter. Unfortunately, I don't have that with us now. We are mindful of that. If we cannot accommodate you in one center, we try to transport you to another. Normally, we want to keep you within your district, but that may not be practical depending on the availability of space. But we try to accommodate everybody as best as possible.
And we recognize an increase in, sort of desire on the part of the population and the governments today to increase the shelter capacity. And, as much as we may complain and lament, we're getting there. But thankfully our homes are being built to a standard for many cases where we can.
Again, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Right. And you did ask about the screening to these medical
Yes.
centers. So no, there is no screening. If you are not comfortable and you meet these criteria listed and you're concerned, you can always reach out to the district clinic, speak to the nurses there, and voice the concern to them, and they can assess the situation because they would have known the residents in the district who need this help, who may not be on their list, but they are aware of these persons that, hey, the person would need shelter at a medical center if there's a threat.
And as I listen to this, one of the things that I think is so commendable about our communities and our district health centers, all of our districts know that we have a preference for a particular physician in that district, and that physician is relocated or temporarily reassigned for cover. How the community gets, you can't take this doctor because she or he is, the favorite, right? in this valley.
And I know I'm coming from that, coming from a community health nurse standpoint.
Yep. But that bodes well for us because then we get, as they say in the financial services, know your customer. We get to know our patients. We understand their health and well-being. We can say to them when we come, for our regular checkups, hey, this is what it is like. Maybe it might be advisable for you to consider this, or at least be aware, and that access is there. All right, we've got the final little break to take. I want to invite us to share a few more things. Mr. McCoy, maybe a reminder for us not to take it for granted that despite the heroic efforts of your team, that we need as a community to be more mindful that we don't want to inadvertently put you and your team at risk, and especially transporting the patient or trying to get to the patient. A call for us to be a little bit more proactive as we make our preparations. All right, final break of this segment. Thank you so much for this privilege to sit here, and when we come back with a closing song, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Upgrade your connection with Digicel's all-new postpaid plans. Experience the freedom of endless local calls, more any use data to browse, entertainment data for Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok, and endless social data for WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. That's not all. Stay connected when you travel with roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean, and make calls while abroad with more international minutes than ever before. Stay connected on the fastest, most reliable network. Make the switch today. Digicel, better connected.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
With the heat rising and temps flurrying, it's time to pull into Jose's Rubis, where you can buy 2 1-liter bottles of Aquafina water for only $3. Don't miss your chance to share the love during the Rubis Pure Summer Times 2 promotion. Each time you top up your tank with $25 of merchandise or from our 24-hour food mart or with your car's favorite fuel, you earn another stamp. Collect 6 stamps and you are entered to win $5,000 for you and $5,000 for someone you love. Don't forget to pick up tickets for the Lions Club Benzorama at Reflections, Hemp and Tobacco, Food for Less, and Jose's Rubis. Now open 24 hours a day.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to all of the public servants, all the volunteers, all the individuals who have so tirelessly and willing and graciously give of their times to serve our community, that charitable nature. Maybe it's timely, and not just because of the passage of Hurricane Ivan 19 years since, but International Day of Charity today, that we have this discussion with our friends over at the Health Services Authority as we talk about hurricane preparedness. Ms. Natalie, Mr. Collin, thank you very much. But to you, Mr. McCoy, as we close our discussion, I believe more than perhaps to any other emergency services vehicle, when we see the ambulance, even when the ambulance is just driving, I'm going to joke and say you guys are going for lunch and you're going to go pick up something. The lights are not on, the siren is not on. You're just moving the ambulance from one location to the next. Many of us, I think, are very respectful of it. We notice it and we try to give way. I want to believe that's the case. It's what I've witnessed. When the lights are on and it's, making some noises, we even more so. But then we also want you to be there for every eventuality. What do you mean it's a Hurricane 5 there, Category 5? Why can't you come out? we expect that, right? Because you guys are heroes.
I mean, the ambulance or the EMS service does provide a lot of comfort to individuals because you know that help is on its way or help is there and available,
right?
Which can definitely help to calm nerves.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing to be mindful is that during the storm is just to ride it out. Be safe. Don't let curiosity kind of kill the cat, and wait till the authorities say it is safe to to exit your house and to go about relatively regular life, depending on what we're faced with. And one thing to remember is that even during the storm is that treatment should be sought only for medical emergencies so that we can direct our assets appropriately, because at the end of the day, if we have a call for service, we do have to respond based on priority, based on what we have available.
Yeah, it's true. Can I ask and guide me? Because sometimes I think that maybe there's many of us, we're going to go to a particular family member's house because we feel that's higher elevation, newer construction, built stronger, there's more space. But sometimes the way we park our vehicles, even if it's our own space, we may be inadvertently blocking access to the garage, to the door somehow. And not only that we can't get out, but the ambulance can't get in to maneuver properly, or there may be a tree. So should we take consideration as to, in our preparation, if this happens and that tree blows over, or if the car is parked in the driveway or in the front lawn in this way, the ambulance can't maneuver as easily, the gurney can't come in, your team can't get in. Are there little things that maybe we're taking for granted, and only in the event that this transpires that we go, oops, kind of late now, we shouldn't have done that?
I mean, it's something to be mindful of in terms of EMS vehicles, whether it be ambulance, and the crew being able to get access to a home or gaining access to wherever you may be. One of the great things is that we do have equipment, so stretchers, stair chairs, and the likes, whether it be backboards, reeves. So the staff themselves are quite mobile. So there is an appropriate equipment to match those environments should there be a dilemma in correspondence with fire and otherwise, to gain access to places that may be obstructed or of limited access, so that we can find an avenue to gain access to those patients. And beyond just ensuring that we have ease of access, or even securing your own assets, securing your vehicles, trees that you might want to trim before the storm, things of that likeness, to avoid any mishaps, is just to make sure that your house is appropriately labeled, your house number, so we can actually see where we're going, whether it be that they have some kind of reflective signage or otherwise, so that we can clearly see where we're responding to. That assists a great deal in terms of being able to find the address that, whether it be fire, the police, or EMS are going to. Because I can imagine a lot will change depending on how the storm progresses.
And I recognize it too, that Colin, even in these times, many of us, we respond differently. Some of us are very calm, in the face of adversity, and some of us, we don't expect it, but all of a sudden we're greatly alarmed, and understandably at times. Are we feeling a call, Miss Susan? Is this a lunch order? Because it's kind of late. I mean, I just kidding. No, we're glad for our listeners to share and for them to take time to think and pay attention and perhaps pose a question. Let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon. We're very grateful for your call. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, and good afternoon to your guests.
And to you.
I'm grateful that you took the call, and I'm grateful that your guest is on today talking about very, very important things that we're faced with every year for just about 6 months of the year. I noticed, though, because I was with the Red Cross, I was trained by the Red Cross in 2004, and God help us, wouldn't want to see something like that again. Now, we have I think nearly double the amount of people that in West Bay. I live in West Bay, and so is Mr. Dwayne. He's a West Bayer too.
Mr. O'Coy too.
As we had 2004. Now, if those people have to come to shelter, it's very few that are designated as shelters, and one is a school hall, primary school hall. One is I don't need to tell you, Presbyterian Church hall. I don't know if it goes through them or it goes through the government or MPs to see that we do have more. And I also I didn't hear anything about cots for these people, which the Red Cross had, and they lost just about all of them during 2004. In fact, some of the containers were floating away and whatnot. So I'm wondering, what are we going to do about those people? And also, I know it's quite a bit that I'm asking, but I was glad to get in. About mental people, and I have a mental cousin that I'm taking care of. She has a caregiver, and she's not aggressive or anything like that. But what do we do about them if they have to go to a shelter? Do we separate them? I know we don't have enough, I don't think, psychiatrists, or at the time of 2004, I'm speaking about, we didn't have enough doctors, nurses. There was only one doctor in West Bay, and two nurses along with the Red Cross staff. It's so many questions. I forgive me, but this is what I've seen with my two eyes. I was there for four nights, and some people had to sleep at the school hall for nearly 2 weeks, and I kept carrying things to them, but we weren't really prepared for 2004. So I'm wondering if at least one or two of those questions can be answered, because we need to know. We need to get down more on our MPs. Thanks for your time. I've been begging now for years. And OC encouraged me, and then I had to stop begging for another shelter in West Bay. Thanks for your time. Like I said, thanks, Dwayne, for taking my call, and thanks to your guests.
Well, thank you too for sharing, and I think this is where we reference as we start to appreciate not just the increased population, but the growing needs and sometimes demands, of our population. So as we close the discussion, I think we saved the best for last. Maybe we should start with the best as we close out. Ms. Natalie, your reminder, your thoughts, your call to action, whatever you wish to share.
All right. So the caller made some valid points, and let me tell you, as at Management Cayman Islands, they are mindful of the increased population, and we are working together along with them as the emergency support team to address some of your concerns. So please know, caller, that those are all valid concerns. As it relates, I did mention about the EMC, and I just want to remind persons that if you have somebody with mental health problems, in our EMCs, we have psychiatrists, psychologists, we have mental health nurses that will be there. So you don't have to worry about that, but they have to be non-violent. If they're violent, they would have to be taken to the hospital themselves. And there is a criteria for the hospital. So it is if the person cannot be managed at the emergency medical center, they would be managed at the hospital itself. And, persons with serious medical conditions or shortness of breath, any not only physical disability but infected wound, person who require isolation due to communicable diseases. So those are the information that we want to put out there. We want to tell the listening audience that the Health Services Authority, that we are mindful of the changes and the need for the population and the community itself, and we constantly work together with all government agency to ensure that we are providing the highest quality care to all our residents, non-par. So it is what we do. This is what we live for. This is because we live for the community. We are civil servants. We are workers for you. So we are cognizant of all that we do it only for the betterment of the country.
Mr. McCoy, hard need to follow, but I know you can do it, man.
I mean, this is a summary, is to be safe prior, during, and after the storm. Make sure that, after the storm, when power may be out, is to be, extra precautious when running generators, things of the like, where you have carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, because that is something to be very wary of. Make sure that they're outside, they're well ventilated, so that, you don't end up poisoning yourself with carbon monoxide.
Indeed. Good advice to remember,
Well, I just want to remind persons of the numbers that they can call to get their refills or their additional prescriptions, and that is 244-2715 or 16. Please be mindful that you collect all of your refills at the Smith Road Pharmacy and not at the HSA's hospital campus. It's at the Smith Road Pharmacy where you collect your refills. They're processed as well as collected there. And also for persons who may have other circumstances such as pregnant persons and so on, it is necessary for them to be in contact with the hospital as urgently as possible and before, well in advance of an approaching storm, as long as we notice there.
Indeed. I like your political correctness. You said pregnant persons. I thought it was just women that could be pregnant, but I saw them on the show with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, so it may be possible these days. Susan's like, you're trying to get in trouble today. I am. So to Colin, I appreciate you, man.
I'm used to that.
But then we've been hanging out too long. No, but I really thank you all for coming in, because it's an attempt to cause us not to be so overwhelmed that we become sort of defeated. And many of us can appreciate when there's an impending storm, how it affects us mentally. We don't feel that we're sufficiently prepared. Do we have enough of this and that? Your information reminds us that there's a resource available to us. We can just, take the opportunity, avail ourselves, be prepared, get our prescriptions in place, keep them safely secured. Know that, to you and Mr. McCoy, your team, you're competent, you're committed, and able through Miss Natalie to know that our resources are well managed and procured. So it's a testament to the strength of our community, all of us in this together. So thanks very much, man. It means a lot.
Thank you.
All right. I love this place, and if you ever think I'm said too much that was a little bit too jovial, or hey, let me know. I can only laugh, but I can always learn. So thanks very much. Have a wonderful rest of this afternoon. And a song that Miss Susan plays is always a good song. That's shared with the listeners to encourage them to be mindful, to be appreciative. Tomorrow, please join Mr. Art for the record. And come back for Talk Today right after the midday news. We got some other great things in store for you. So join us tomorrow.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.